proper source of energy decides actually the fate of environment. Otherwise, we have witnessed several natural calamities, disaster around the globe. And because of that, there is a plenty of waste. You know, on Earth, only 2% of water available is a fresh water. And that too contains several pollutants. So it is very important to get a clean water for drinking. Otherwise, there are major health issues related to cancer, nervous breakdown, lot of things. So how nano photocatalyst solve a problem that we will see. So a nanotechnology by which a photocatalyst develop can solve a problem of environment as well as energy. So one can get a clean water by using photocatalyst and performing the demineralization reaction in presence of solar light that can destroy the organic pollutants into carbon dioxide and water. And one can get a fresh water from wastewater or effluents or groundwater contaminated water. One can easily get a pure water which can be drinkable, which can have of World Health Organization and environmental protection bodies followed, and the water will be free from all the pollutants. In a similar way, hydrogen can also be obtained by using nanophoto and performing a water splitting reaction. So here actually in this case, if you see, I'm going to propose a nanophoto where the catalyst is a semiconductor actually, which has a conduction band and valence band, and whenever photon energy strike on the photocatalyst surface, electrons and holes are created, and then they can play a wonderful role for organic pollutants and for getting hydrogen. So we'll see how this solution, how this problem can be solved by using these technologies. We know photocatalysts can allow equilibrium to be reached faster. They play a wonderful role. They can be of homogeneous and heterogeneous types. Particularly, the metals and metal oxides play a wonderful role as a nanophotocatalyst. So, why a wastewater treatment is important by using nanophotocatalyst? As I mentioned you, there is already scarcity of water all over the world because of industrialization, globalization. Many pollutants have entered. They can be antibiotics, they can be insecticides, fertilizers. Excessive use have created problem of organic pollutants majorly. So generally the diseases that occur, including the cancer, are mainly from polluted water only. So therefore, it is very important to treat the wastewater. And at present, whatever the technologies available for the treatment of wastewater or for getting a purified water are very costly in nature, and hence we need a alternative solution. This, through nanotechnology, can play an important role. So overall, if you see, nanomaterials can be helpful in nanofiltration. Nanomembranes can be prepared, nanocomposites can be prepared. The composites can be used for the adsorption purpose, adsorption of organic pollutants. Membranes can be useful also. These membranes, in case of reverse osmosis, already they have applications, but they are considered to be costly technologies. The adsorption can create another problem of adsorbent disposal. So therefore, photocatalytic conversion can play an important role by using nanophotocatalysts. We investigated at DIT in our Energy and Environment Laboratory, where we got a project from DRDO under Nano project. We treated the explosive wastewater that was contaminated with RDX by using innovative photocatalyst barium hexaferrite. So this slide actually shows the presence of organic pollutants all over the world. So if you see, because of the excessive industrialization and because of the creation of energetic materials, new organic compounds for various applications, they are they are contaminated the fresh water. They can be endocrine disrupting. They can be carcinogenic to humans. You know, according to the World Health Organization or United States Environmental Protection Agencies, the allowable limit for such kind of toxic compound is very, very low, around zero point 0.3 milligram per liter for RDX. RDX is a notable explosive that is extensively used in defense. So we have investigated this project by using barium hexaferrite nanophotocatalyst, where the challenge was to get drinking water from a wastewater pollution level below 0.01 milligram per liter. That is almost in a ppb range. So once again, if you see, TiO2 is extensively used as a photocatalyst. However, the drawback of TiO2 is it is highly expensive, and it can allow only use of UV light in entire energy magnetic spectrum. The amount of UV light is very less as compared to the visible light. So therefore, TiO2 cannot be utilized. That is one of the major drawback. And again, it has a problem related to separation from wastewater, and then that leads to recycling issues. Already it has very high cost. Therefore, we propose a new magnetic photocatalyst, barium hexaferrite. In this slide, also a schematic of photocatalyst is given, where photon energy strike on the surface of catalyst, electron and hole is created. The hole can destroy later on the toxic organic compound with the help of solar light that is shown. So as I mentioned, we developed a photocatalyst by using a where barium nitride, ferric nitride, and citric acid is taken, initially heated around 100 degrees centigrade, and then later on a gel is produced, which is decomposed at 400 degrees centigrade, and then it is mixed with sodium chloride and potassium chloride to obtain a powder, and further heated at 700 to 1000 degrees centigrade to get a pure barium hexaferrite. Then further we characterize this nanophotocatalyst by using XRD, Raman, UV visible, SEM techniques in order to understand the nature, surface area, crystallinity of the photocatalyst. This photocatalyst for performing degradation reaction, photodegradation reaction. In this case, we have designed a photocatalytic reactor where that allow use of a synthetic UV lamp, or even a visible lamp can also be used. We have used both the lamps. The UV lamp, in order to get the UV energy, we have used mercury vapor lamp, and for visible, we have used a tungsten quartz lamp. And then the wastewater was mixed with photocatalyst, and the reaction, degradation reaction, was performed at room temperature. So the degradation products as well as the characterization of nanomaterials was performed by various techniques. The degradation products were analyzed by GCMS, TOC, that is total organic content analyzer, NMR, ion chromatograph, HPLC. So in case of barium hexaferrite, as I mentioned you, we perform the synthesis or preparation by molten salt method at 4 temperatures: 700 degrees centigrade, 800 degrees centigrade, 9 and 1000 degrees centigrade. So at 700 degrees centigrade, highly crystalline barium hexaferrite was obtained, but some peaks of hematite can be seen in this XRD. However, at 800, there was pure barium hexaferrite formation, and the data was compared with JPCDS authenticate data, where we found it has a hexagonal phase with space group of P63 MMC. The observed two-third positions corresponding to XRD were obtained. Further, we have analyzed the nanophotocatalyst by using Raman spectrometer. So here in this case, if you see the spectra at 700, 800, 900 and 1000 degrees centigrade were taken. Of all the samples are recorded from 200 to 800 centimeter raised to -1 by using 514 nanometer laser excitation at room temperature. Again, we got similar result as compared to XRD, where the peak at 700 degrees centigrade was contaminated with hematite, but there were no impurities of hematite at 800, 900 and 1000 degrees centigrade. The observed Raman spectra were further indexed as per the vibrational modes that is shown in this slide. The observed frequency, Raman active modes, and their descriptions are given at the octahedral pyramid and whole spinal box. So, by analyzing all the Raman data and XRD data, we could confirm that M type of barium hexaferrite was obtained having 64 ions per unit cell, which is nothing but a magnetoplumbite structure. Thereafter, we analyze barium hexaferrite by using FESEM technique. So the SEM EDAX pattern is shown in this slide at 800, 900 and 1000 degrees centigrade. This flake-like morphology of the anneal products at 800 and 900 was obtained. The size of particle was 1 to 2 micron with nano distribution, but the thickness is in 50 to 100 nanometer. The EDAX spectrum clearly shows presence of barium, Fe and oxygen elements without any impurity. Band gap, which is one of the important thing in photocatalysis, is estimated by using UV visible spectra. With the help of plots, we obtained the band gap for barium hexaferrite at 8 to 1000 degrees centigrade, and it was observed that yes, for barium hexaferrite at 800 degrees centigrade. So thereafter, as I discussed, we have used this nanophotoCatalyst in a photocatalytic cell that was prepared for the treatment of wastewater. So we have used around 1 liter of RDX contaminated wastewater, and the studies were performed. So if you see, the graphs were plotted